This is the Microschool Minute, your weekly dose of microschooling news and events.
In this week's edition of the Microschool Minute, a new Arizona bill, Senate Bill 1693, proposes allowing private school students to participate in public school sports and extracurricular activities, provided that their school does not offer those programs. While the measure, spearheaded by Senator John Kavanaugh, is rooted in fairness and equal access, it sparked significant debate. Critics argue that public school students could be displaced and that this approach undermines the integrity of local school board decisions, many of which already choose whether or not to allow outside participation. The bill requires that students live within a school's boundaries, maintaining passing grades and paying program fees. But detractors say that enforcement and fairness could be problematic. The policy is especially relevant to microschool operators, many of whom create hyper-personalized learning environments that often lack organized athletics due to both size and funding. Senate Bill 1693 could open doors for these students to access public school sports, offering more comprehensive educational experience. However, it does raise structural and ethical concerns around equity, competitive fairness, and local control. Education innovators and leaders in the movement will want to follow this legislation closely, as it could shape future access to extracurriculars and influence how microschools are structured or partnered within the broader education ecosystem. The recent failure to pass a universal education savings account in North Dakota represents a significant setback for education innovation advocates in the state, particularly those leading microschools and personalized learning communities. House Bill 1540 would have allowed families to use public funds for private school tuition, tutoring, curriculum, special needs services, and other individualized educational expenses. The bill was especially promising for microschools and homeschoolers, offering financial flexibility to tailor learning environments to students' needs. Its rejection via a surprising veto by Governor Kelly Armstrong, despite prior public support for ESAs, highlights the political complexities facing school choice initiatives today. This missed opportunity demonstrates the importance of policy alignment with stakeholder advocacy. While the Senate's competing bill included homeschoolers, it imposed more restrictive regulations and less autonomy, conditions that could stifle the flexibility microschools rely on, and also threatened genuine decentralized homeschooling, a pain point for many parents who stood in opposition. The debate between competing ESA models offers a cautionary tale. Without thoughtful design, school choice legislation risks becoming a compromise that satisfies neither innovation nor equity goals. Microschool communities must remain vigilant and organized to help shape future proposals in ways that truly empower families and educators. Recent legislative developments in Indiana are setting the stage for a shift in how education is funded and delivered in the state. The passage of a new 2-year state budget includes a 2% annual increase in school funding and the rollout of a universal school voucher program starting next year. These changes are significant for microschools and hybrid homeschool models alike, as families will have greater financial access to alternative education options. The voucher program in particular removes a major barrier to entry for parents seeking personalized learning environments outside of the traditional public system. In addition to those funding changes, Indiana lawmakers passed a sweeping deregulation bill and several controversial measures addressing curriculum and governance. These include removing the requirement for high schools to offer racial or ethnic study classes and permitting school board candidates to run with political party affiliations. While these changes signal broader shifts in state-level education governance, they also create more space and more autonomy for microschool leaders to innovate without being bound by regulations. This evolving policy environment could empower microschools to lead with mission-aligned curricula and governance models that reflect their community's values. On Saturday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott officially signed into law Senate Bill No. 2, launching what is now the largest education savings account program in the nation. This landmark legislation represents a major win for the school choice movement after several failed attempts. The bill now opens up new opportunities for families in the state to utilize state education funds for customized learning experiences, including microschools, private schools, tutoring, and other non-traditional models. The ceremonial signing drew over 1,400 attendees to the governor's mansion, reflecting widespread interest and support from across the state. The PIAK scholarship is a game-changing opportunity for microschool leaders seeking to increase access and equity in their learning environments. With up to $6,900 available annually for qualifying families, the Philanthropic Investment in Arkansas Kids Scholarship can help microschools attract and serve students who may not otherwise be able to afford tuition. The funding not only supports students' educational needs, but reinforces the value of personalized, small-scale learning models that microschools provide. For schools in Arkansas, this is a prime moment to connect with eligible families and expand enrollment. Applications are now open, and with a growing cap on donations and increased annual funding, the program is poised to continue scaling, making it an essential tool for school sustainability and student success in the personalized learning space. The rise of education savings accounts is fundamentally altering the dynamics of who buys educational services and how. Traditionally, nearly $900 billion in public school funding has supported linear innovations, tools and technologies that help reinforce the structure of existing schools. But microschools, co-ops, and education startups now find themselves in a growing market where families, not districts, make the purchasing decisions. This change opens the door for non-linear innovations, radically different approaches to learning that can be customized, unbundled, and tech-enabled. For microschool leaders, this is truly a turning point. As families seek more personalized, flexible, and cost-effective options, microschools are ideally positioned to help offer modular educational experiences that blend AI-powered platforms, real-world learning, and in-person support. This new value network empowers education entrepreneurs to work directly with families, bypassing traditional gatekeepers and unlocking space for bold experimentation. Microschools are no longer fringe. They are becoming a central piece of the future learning ecosystem. More young people are beginning to bypass traditional college in favor of practical, real-world learning like apprenticeships and micro-credentialing. These help shift the focus from theoretical education to hands-on experience, allowing learners to gain skills faster, avoid debt, and transition directly into high-demand careers. This trend aligns with a growing national skepticism toward conventional higher education, especially amid rising cost and ideological debates. For microschools, this presents a powerful opportunity to redesign high school experiences around flexible, personalized pathways. By integrating project-based learning and stackable credentialing, microschools can position students for success beyond the classroom, whether through trades, tech, or entrepreneurship. These models can empower students to find purpose and proficiency early on in life without needing to follow a one-size-fits-all college route. Tension is rising in Iowa over the state's education savings account program, and it's not just a local issue. A 360-page report released this week by State Auditor Rob Sand claims that the Iowa Department of Management failed to provide all requested documents related to an ESA audit effort. At the heart of the dispute is a disagreement over whether the administration is properly following oversight protocols under Iowa law. The department maintains that unsubmitted documents were irrelevant to the ESA program, while the auditor insists this signals a worrisome lack of transparency. For leaders, this isn't just political theater, it's a signal flare. When oversight of ESA programs becomes politicized, it creates ripple effects across the educational ecosystem, especially for small, independent learning environments. Public trust in how ESA funds are managed directly impacts whether families feel confident using them to enroll in microschools. Without clear accountability and compliance, perceived legitimacy suffers. Microschools that rely on ESA funding must now consider how they position themselves in a climate increasingly sensitive to program integrity. The United States Supreme Court recently heard arguments in AJT versus Ocesso area schools, a case that could reshape how disability discrimination claims are handled in education. Central to the case is whether students with disabilities meet a more difficult legal standard, proving bad faith or gross misjudgment compared to other Americans seeking damages under the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. The case originated when the family of a student with severe epilepsy sued Ocesso area schools for discrimination after already securing services through an IDEA claim. The district court upheld a higher legal standard impacting millions of students across 5 federal circuits with potential nationwide implications. The recent United States Supreme Court involving St. Isidore of Seville Virtual Catholic School could significantly reshape the charter school landscape in America, as the justices weigh whether a religious organization can run a public charter school. The outcome could either broaden educational options or introduce substantial legal and policy confusion nationwide. For microschool leaders, this case underscores the evolving definitions of public, private, and hybrid schooling models, bringing new possibilities, but also new uncertainties. President Trump's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget calls for a sweeping $12 billion reduction in Department of Education funding, including $4.5 billion less for K-12 programs. The cuts would help eliminate initiatives such as Equity Assistance Centers, Teacher Quality Partnership Grants, and English Language Acquisition Programs. Simultaneously, the budget increases funding for charter schools by $60 million, signaling a clear emphasis on school choice and state-level control over federal education funds. The College Board is making a significant shift this year in its testing strategy by moving 28 out of 36 AP exams to a digital format for the upcoming 2025 testing season. This move affects millions of students and signals a long-term commitment to digital assessment. With the widespread adoption of the Blue Book testing platform, students will now complete most of their exams online, reserving paper testing only for specific language and art subjects. The change reflects a broader trend toward tech-integrated learning and testing environments, aligning with how today's students engage with content. Thank you for tuning in to the Microschool Minute, your weekly review of microschooling news and events. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to support us, consider leaving a review. Until next week, happy microschooling.